Looks like the tag is made. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it, folks. The main event.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Hot Tag broadcast. I'm your host, Chris Thursday, and as a former Jerichoholic, I'd like to introduce this little thing of ours in conjunction with 97.6 WZRO. This is a broadcast that covers everything that's going on that I'm interested in inside that square circle. Today, we have Survivor Series War Games. I am really excited for this one just because today we get to find out if Roman Reigns and his bloodline will overcome Solo Sikoa and his bloodline. Personally, I can't wait for that matchup, but we also have a banger of a card tonight, y'all. We have the Women's War Game match, aka the Mean Girls, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae versus Team Baddie, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair. It was Jade Cargill, but something happened to her. So we have Bayley instead, and Io Sky and Naomi. We also have another match for the United States Championship with LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura, an Intercontinental Championship match, Braun Breaker, Sheamus, and Ludwig Kaiser in a triple threat match, and also the World Heavyweight Championship match between the Ring General Gunther and Damian Priest. But tonight we have a little bit of context that we need to go through that leads up to these matches that we have so far. So let's rewind that clock all the way back to October 5th for Bad Blood. We have CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Now, honestly, this feud has been going on for a very long time since CM Punk came back of actually last year's Survivor Series. Him and Drew McIntyre have been beefing the entire time. Like, literally, it just didn't matter what was going on between them. They was literally just going at each other's neck week after week after week after week. But honestly, I'm so glad that this actually came to an end at Bad Blood because CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, they're just not good for each other. Like, it's just bad. Just because Drew McIntyre always finds himself right back into the raw end of the stick when it comes to CM Punk. Like, no matter what he does, Drew McIntyre can beat up CM Punk. He can do this. He can do that. He can bloody him. He can make him look incapacitated. He can steal his arm bracelet all he wants. But at the end of the day, CM Punk always finds a straight edge to win out against Drew McIntyre. The feud was very intense since it's been brewing since about Royal Rumble, even though it probably happened like behind the scenes way beforehand, but I'm really glad it ended in that Hell in a Cell match. They had sabotaged each other so many times throughout the year, whether it was a title match for Drew McIntyre or a non-title match, it didn't matter. If CM Punk was taking a shit, Drew McIntyre was there to kick in the door on him, or if it was just nonstop pettiness going back and forth between each other. And honestly, it was kind of brutal to watch after a while just because I haven't been the biggest Drew McIntyre fan, but I have noticed that he is just getting screwed over like week after week after week. And honestly, I really don't like that for him. But the match was pretty good. The match was necessarily a good conclusion to all the pettiness that's been going on for the last year. Their rivalry really peaked here. So hopefully, well, actually, when that match happened, it was just so much violence between both parties. Chains were involved, a toolbox was involved, steel steps, the whole shebang, rubbing each other's faces against the steel cage. It was just very entertaining to see. But at the end all be all, CM Punk did secure the win with a GTS against Drew McIntyre. But I'm gonna be honest with you, with Drew McIntyre and his pettiness, as a petty person myself, this won't be the last time that he sees of Drew McIntyre. So on to the next match. We have the WWE Women's Championship, Nia Jax versus Bayley. This is a rematch from SummerSlam 2024. Bayley aimed to reclaim her title from Nia Jax. Even with Bayley's ring skills and veteran experience, she was no match for Nia Jax, personally. Nia is just too overwhelming in her bottom, and combined with the interference from Tiffy time, it just proved to be too much for Bayley to go around and win that one. But even though there was a few botches during the match, Bayley held her own. It made it look believable that Nia beat her cleanly. But honestly, when it comes to that immovable force as Nia Jax, it's kind of hard to do. Like, what can you do? Like, honestly. And shouts out to Tiffy Time for taking that opportunity to maybe think about it. Should I cash it in now? Or should I wait my Tiffy time and do it later? Well, during that match, she kind of took her Tiffy time and took too much time. It was like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, look, I know I was going to cash in on you, but I thought about it. I decided I'm not going to do it. Come on, chill out. We still friends, right? Right? So, next match, we have our very, very, very anticipated match against Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. Now, the stipulations on this match was really exciting just because they actually had Dominic Mysterio hanged up on inside of a shark cage, which was pretty exciting just because we all know that Dom's past. He just when it comes to cages and being in small spaces and seeing those bars, he gets a little bit of PTSD. Like, I can't do it. No more locked doors. I can't do it. No, I can't go back. I can't. Mommy, please. I know we had our differences, but still, like, yo, a cage? Like, come on now. You know me. There's no chicken nuggies in a cell. There's no tendies. None. So why are you doing this to me? But honestly, this is kind of a callback to the custody ladder match between Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio for the custody of Dominic Mysterio. So honestly, this is kind of more of a callback more than anything else. It's a little nostalgic for me, to be honest with you. I wish they kind of had the shark cage hanging over the ring, but it is what it is. But that match was pretty. It was a bomb of a match. I'm gonna be honest. Not bomb in a bad way, but it was a banger. Just because you have Liv Morgan and her ring skills, just going against Rhea Ripley, her ring skills is a little more power based versus Liv is more of a finesse. So we have that little mix of that good and the bad, not good and the bad, but that yin and yang when it comes to their contrast of their wrestling styles. So with Dom just sitting there watching the entire time between his two love interests going against each other, we have that tension that's been going on the entire. When did Liv get hurt? I would say early in the year. Then she came back and she got her revenge on Rhea and having her hurt. And with Rhea hurt, that just left Liv to just go in and take everything that she wanted to take from Rhea. She took her title, she took her man, and she overtook over the Judgment Day. Which honestly, that has to really burn Rhea. It really does. But the match went pretty well. Like, honestly, between the work between Rhea and Liv, they worked really well together. But close to the end of the match, when Rhea was beaten down like a pinata because he escaped from the cage, which honestly I understand, I would too. But that's a pretty far jump, bro. I ain't know what he had in plan, but I respect it. I'm gonna be honest with you. So as Rhea is treating like just Juan Soto on Dom, we get a surprise entrance from Raquel Rodriguez to interrupt the match, which was kind of confusing for me personally, just because it's like, well, the match was going so well, and it looked like Rhea was going to win it, but she got distracted with Dom and decided to get her revenge and started just literally just wailing on him. But Raquel came in, stopped her, got the finish. There was no finish. It was literally a botch the entire time. I thought the match was going to be over cleanly, but with Raquel's interference, we kind of had that what is she doing here kind of moment, which I haven't seen her on TV before that for a while now. So I'm not sure if she got hurt or they was just literally trying to build this up as that surprise. But with that botch that well, it was a botch. I'm gonna be honest with you. It was a big botch. It kind of left a stain on a really good match just because like I didn't feel like it really added anything to that outside of introducing Raquel as the Rhea Buster for Liv. Just because, let's be honest here, Liv ain't got nothing for Rhea. Rhea is going to eat her lunch money, get her lunch money every chance she gets. But with Raquel there being her Suge Knight, that kind of limits things a little bit because you have someone on the strength level that can compete with Rhea. If not, she's stronger than Rhea with her being a professional bodybuilder and everything else. So with that interference, honestly, for that match, it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth about that whole ordeal just because it's like it could have been better or it could have happened after the match. But with it being a championship match, I understand why the disqualification had to happen. But with Raquel doing that botched job of a finish, it is what it is. Let's just move on from it. The following match, we have Damian Priest versus Finn Balor. Now, they've had some bad blood going for a really long time, but with them being really cool with each other, like they go way back, way, way, way back. But during that implosion of the Judgment Day at SummerSlam, there was a lot of beef going on in that group. With Rhea being betrayed, with Damian Priest being betrayed from the Judgment Day. Honestly, they kind of got off easy because the way Judgment Day likes to do things, let's just say that was just a very much of a 2-week notice for them. But that match was pretty good. Like honestly, it really showed their chemistry inside the ring with each other. Just because they have been tag team champions with each other, they have been jumping everybody. They have been doing a lot of things. But ever since Rhea had won her championship, she has shown a little bit of a bigger attitude. I'm bigger than the group. No one came to see you, Otis. Then Damian Priest cashed in his senior Money in the Bank at WrestleMania and won the championship over Drew McIntyre, which kind of fuels the fire for Drew McIntyre, which, once again, not the biggest fan, but I feel for him. So after he won his title, he's starting to say, like, hey guys, I don't really need your help anymore. I got it. I'm the World Heavyweight Championship. Come on, bro. I got this. Watch out. Finn Balor was like, oi, you know what we do? And Damien's like, yes, I know that we like to jump people, but come on, guys. I'm seeing your Money in the Bank. I am the El Champion. Like, I got this now. It's okay. Just stay back there, play the game, eat some chicken tendies. Go ahead. Just go do that. So with that, Finn kind of got a little bit, a little bent out of shape with that whole deal, just because they didn't feel like they was family anymore. We got all this beef going between Dom and Rhea. We got all this beef between Rhea and the Judgment Day, thinking she is the leader, even though there is no leaders in Judgment Day. And Damian Priest falling under the same Kool-Aid of, I'm the champion now and I'm better than you guys. Even though he didn't really show that, it didn't feel the same no more for the group itself. But I'm gonna be honest with you, with both of them displaying the familiarity with each other's styles, I honestly like to think it's the same thing with Liv and Rhea. I don't think Finn Balor has too much for Damian Priest personally, but with his veteran ring skills, his intellect, and especially him knowing Damian on a more personal level with him, they work together so well with each other. Even though that, let's be honest here, Damian got like 6+ feet on him. He also was like 100+ pounds more heavier than him. It would have been a squash match, but with Finn Balor's veteran ring presence and his expertise, he very much held his own during that entire match. And honestly, he beat him clean, which was kind of really of a surprise because, Judgment Day, their style is to jump anybody who gets in their way. They don't care if you some old lady at Walgreens. They don't care if you're a bouncer at the club. We putting them paws on you. Not just me, homeboy over there, Rhea's over there in the cut. So if you want problems, she can jump in. Also, we got this little Puerto Rican dude we found. His name is Carlito. So I don't know what you want, buddy. You're getting jumped. Like, there's no one-on-ones in the Judgment Day. There's no fair ones. They just jumping on everybody. Like, they don't care about nothing else. You're getting jumped. You're tasting these Air Force Ones, personally. Then we have our main event of Bad Blood of that night. We have Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns versus the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. Now, that main event left a lot to be desired when it comes to what they build up to. For like the promos up all the way up until Bad Blood was fantastic between Cody, Roman, anybody else who was involved. Honestly, like the package that they rolled out was great. It was fire. The only thing that was not fire was the match itself. So with that match, we kind of had the Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu show, just because with Solo Sikoa being the leader or the new tribal chief of the Bloodline, we kind of have seen him more. His promos gotten a lot better since he's first started as the tribal chief. He has gotten a lot better when it comes to his ring presence, but the only thing I have a personal issue with is his ring work. Now, he has an impressive package of moves that he can put on a decent match with. The only issue is when it comes to, maybe I'm just more of a technical wrestler fan. There's no meat on the bones when it comes to his wrestling package for me. Now, with this one, it was kind of interesting because there was no interference going on with that one. It was just a 1-2-3 match. But the match had a lot of ramifications going into the new Bloodline story that they're trying to, I'm not sure if they're trying to wrap it up or they're trying to extend it, because it's been going on for a few years now. But with the bigger fish to fry with new Bloodline, now we have Roman coming back for his first match since WrestleMania. Even though he has done some spots in a few weeks prior, this match was his first match since then. So I'm not sure what he was doing in his meantime. I heard he was doing movies and stuff, but Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu were the workhorses during this match. Roman Reigns was out there, great shape, just waiting for that one tag, that hot tag to come in. That hot tag came, and honestly, it kind of left a lot to be desired, because between the match between Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu, that was the real star of the entire match, just because they was working that match very well. They was getting everything. They was getting the pops. They was getting the right spots. There was no botches. The timing on that was just insane. But when it came to Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, it was just more. Well, I actually kind of feel bad for the Solo Sikoa just because he got hit with the "You Can Wrestle," and once again, I see their point, but I think that was kind of it was pretty bad personally. But they had a great match. They carried a match. The New Bloodline ends up winning that match, but it definitely sets the table for what we're going to see in the next few weeks, and even leading into Survivor Series coming on tonight. A few moments of that bad blood, the in betweens. It was a lot, especially with the Chelsea Green promo of after her dumpster match against Michin. Just coming in, Jey Uso in the background, just yeeting it up, just having a great time, not being a part of that bloodline mess that's going on outside. And just her presence is always felt, no matter what. But she ain't had to come in there all stanked up, get you a little Irish Spring, a little, some, a little bit of Dove wouldn't hurt, some deodorant, just coming in there smelling like waste management is crazy work. I'm gonna be honest with you. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill and Naomi hosted the event, keeping the energy high between matches with their promos. And honestly, it was very welcoming, just because it very much gave that black girl magic that we all needed, and just to keep the energy high, just because between those matches, it really was not too many promos being cut. Normally during pay-per-views, you'll see a little bit better of their promos, but it really was just all matches for that one part. But shouts out to them getting that GTA by Metro Boomin and Future. That mug was bumping the entire time. It actually made me listen to the album again and just listen to that song. I was like, man, this is so perfect for the event. It's just dark and gritty and so much bad blood going on. So hopefully they bring back that pay-per-view. So the next following weeks that led up to Survivor Series, the new bloodline is showing themselves to be even stronger than the original bloodline, since the old bloodline is fractured through Roman's quest for power, which he ultimately received. But at the end, like most emperors, their empire falls eventually. But let's be honest here, y'all. Like, Roman is the problem in this situation. Like, nobody wants to acknowledge that. Get it? He is the problem in the whole situation. They realize that, hey, we're glad you're back, but hey, bro, you don't have anybody besides you. Like, yeah, we know you're the big dog, or excuse me, the tribal chief, the original tribal chief, the OTC. But it's just like, hey, man, like, look, bro, it's 1 against 4. What are you going to do? And not like, I think he can clean up the Tomlin, the Lois. I think he can clean up Solo. But you got that big dog, Jacob Fatu, just sitting there, just, I love you, Solo. He willing to crash out for Solo at any given time. I want someone to look at Solo weird. I want somebody to try something. I want somebody to say something mean to my tribal chief. I will end him for you, tribal chief. I love you, Lord. And I'm just saying, like, Jacob Fatu's like his whole gimmick right now is amazing. Like, just literally just sitting there, just. You ever seen somebody that just came back from jail and they changed their lives and they just all into religion now, but they will still fuck you up? Jacob Fatu give you that, and it's amazing. Like, just to see that in the ring, just out of nowhere, he'll hit you with a little, what's it called? Not the splash. What's it? When they run into the ring and hit him with the stank face. And he'll do with that and just sit there and emote on you and just like, I love you, Solo. Solo ain't even in the ring. He ain't even around there. He's just like, man, just shouts out to Solo, man. Like, he really held me down. But now we have that issue going on between nobody wants to mess with Roman anymore. We get the surprise visit of Jimmy. Jimmy comes back and he aligns himself right back to Roman. And is like, hey, man, look, I know we had our differences, but guess what? We got bigger fish to fry. So I'm going to rock with you, Uce. So now Roman got Jimmy back. Now he's just missing a few more people. Then we have Jey Uso, who's over there living his best life on Raw as main event Jey Uso, just yeeting all over the place, having the crowd all turned up all by himself. Then he messes around and wins the Intercontinental Championship, which is really good. But let's get back into that Intercontinental Championship conversation before we follow up with with Jey Uso. The Intercontinental scene has been a little bit confusing at first because they built Jey Uso up to be the main event presence since he was separated from the bloodline. Well, I won't say separated, but he got himself out that bloodline situation. And he started to just do him. It's just me, Uce. Like, it's just me. Like, there's nothing about it. Anything else about the bloodline, that's over there. Over here, we eating over here. So they building up his main event presence, not main event presence, excuse me, the mid-card presence for him to go against Braun Breaker for Intercontinental Championship. But with him beating Braun Breaker and winning the championship, it's a great look. It was a great boost for his career as a solo wrestler, but also in the same sense, that championship scene has been kind of stale ever since Gunter dropped the title to Sami Zayn. And not saying that Sami Zayn isn't the most as a solo performer, I am not the biggest fan. I just don't see it. I just don't like he does great promos. He's great in the ring. Just something about it, just it doesn't do it for me. But with that championship now has a huge weight to it now. Just because since Gunther had dropped the title, he's held it for over 666 days. He had that championship for so long and holding it down, beating anybody in his path and bringing that prestige right back into the intercontinental scene, which was desperately needed. We had previous champions that had that aura while holding the Intercontinental Championship because way back when it held a lot of weight. We've had the Rob Van Dams, the Chris Jerichos, Christians, Rey Mysterio, Shelton Benjamin. Hell, even Cody Rhodes held it for a few times. Even The Miz, John Morrison, everybody. But no one has brought that swag to it since it had that previous prestigious aura around it since I was like the 90s all the way up into the mid 2000s. And ever since then, it kind of lost its aura around the PG era, and it kind of seemed as a placeholder title for anybody who's up and coming in the main event scene. Just like I want to say Kofi Kingston, because he held the title many times, but they never introduced him to the main event scene. But anybody else in that mid card caliber, they just held the title just to hold it all the way up until I would say very much recently, since Gunther won the championship. But speaking of the mid card scene, we do have an interesting development going on with the women's mid card having a United States title added into their championship belts. And with this one, they're holding a tournament. And one of my favorites is Miss Chelsea Green, because as of 2024, she has been on fire. Like with her heel, with her heel run all the way up until WrestleMania and Money in the Bank, she has been spectacular. Her promos, great. Her social media presence has been fire. I recommend anybody to go out and check that out. The matches she's been putting on, spectacular. Like I have no complaints whatsoever. Like I'm glad she's finally getting that push that she deserves. Like her timing when it comes to her comedy is impeccable. Like it's rare that I've seen in the women's division that someone is out there cutting the promos that need to be cut, that's not trying to make them look like the toughest of the toughest, or basically just trying to get their way into the salty spittoon. Be honest with you guys. Actually, speaking of Chelsea Green, like it just really brings into my mind that like it's bringing a new era into the women's division. Just because like the women's division always needed a good mid card scene for a long time and to actually have meaning, because in the women's division is either you're in the main event scene or you're just in the rest with everybody else. Now I'm glad they've added the tag team titles for the women's division, just because it definitely gives more women time to shine and more TV time, honestly, just to get them out there and have that presence. But when it comes to the women's division, it's just been more of the same. I would say 5 to 7 women just being rotated into the championship scene through and throughout. But with this mid card scene coming up with a championship, now we get to get a little bit more meat on the bone when it comes to the product itself. Chelsea has been doing some of the craziest spots that I've seen so far this year. I won't say they're the best ones, but just for her Chelseaisms, that she has been able to get all that taken care of. Like that one spot at the Money in the Bank where she's at the top of the ladder, and even though the whole time she's extremely scared of heights, but she does that spot where she's at the very top of the ring, reaching for the Money in the Bank, which I thought she was going to win, and someone with a hating ass came over and just pushed her over, and now she is falling to her impending doom between those two tables and splat. Then the hater of the year, Miss Tiffy Time, comes in and grabs her Money in the Bank and looks at Chelsea and just laughs. Like you can't write that at all. But with the women's US title having a tournament, it definitely puts everything back into a perspective of the company trying to, I won't say stretch out the product, but give the product a little bit more depth into what they can do with the product. Just because with the mid card scene, now we could get to have more time to shine with, who's to say Chelsea Green is not the best person with the mic in the mid card scene. Maybe it might be somebody else. Who knows? but with that opportunity being opened up for everybody else to actually strive for a new title, and hopefully, I've been hearing rumors about an Intercontinental Championship for women's to be involved. So hopefully, that puts a little bit more power in between both brands in their women's division. But going back into the Intercontinental scene, ever since Sami Zayn dropped the title back to Braun Breaker, Braun Breaker ends up losing that title to Jey Uso, which honestly, it very much helped him get it helped him get back over. Not saying he was not over in the first place, but when it comes to his ring work, it helped him. It verified him. It did. It definitely gave him the validation that he is championship material outside of the tag team titles, which he's held it more than anybody else in the company. So he's been doing that for a very long time. Even though that you can kind of say that both Jimmy and Jey Uso's movesets are around the same, they were just great together. But with Jey Uso being by himself and just doing his best, he's been out here. He's been really thriving with his solo run. But he goes against Braun Breaker. He's like, "Hey man, I got a championship match. I'm about to beat him down real quick, keep the title for a little bit more. Go to Waffle House. We're just gonna have a great time." But during that match, we saw someone who didn't have any business being there. It was the Tribal Chief Solo Sikoa and Big Dog Jacob Fatu just sitting there waiting for him. Like, "Hey y'all, I got tickets. Hey, I'm gonna just sit here and watch this match and eat some popcorn. Don't mind me. Y'all keep having y'all match." But just in true bloodline fashion, he was like, "Hey, we ain't watching this match. We're gonna come in and we're gonna get involved." And they did get involved, and they caused it's just, family drama is very messy in general. Like, just anybody who's dealing with any personal drama in a family life, they just know, like, if they're gonna get into it, they getting into it. And you don't want nothing to do with that. And Jay was just literally just trying to keep himself away from that. He switched shows. It's just him, Oos. He's vibing. He's chilling. He's doing all these things and enjoying his life. Then boom, family comes back into your life and decides to ruin things for you. And now you right back into the middle of it. So with Crash Out Jay calming down and being a bigger person, he's like, "Hey, I know you guys are trying to watch this match with me and everything else, but y'all, I know how y'all get down." And he was like, "Oh yeah, you're right. You know exactly how to get down." So as most things, they ruin the match for Jey Uso and he costs him the title. So after that, Jimmy is kind of in his head a lot. It's like, "Man, I lost my title and everything else because of the bloodline. No matter how far I try to get away from this, they always there." Then he opens his door and guess who's there? His twin brother, his Oos, Jimmy. Now Jay is like, nope, I'm not going for it whatsoever. You can go kick rocks, Jimmy, respectfully. But Jimmy's like, "Hey, bro, I just want to talk to you." He's like, "No, I don't want to talk to you. What y'all got going on over there? It's what y'all got over there." And Jimmy's like, "Bro, look, just hear me out." He's like, "No, go kick rocks." Then, after a while, Jay decides to hear Jimmy out. And he's like, "All right, man, like, what's going on? Yada, 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 woo, woo, woo." And Jimmy's like, "Hey, man, look, Roman's back. I know you know, but we got to do something about these guys, bro. Like, they tripping. We was tripping, but they really tripping. They off the back with it. Like, they don't care who it is. And honestly, if anyone's going to cause a fire, I'd rather be us. But against them, they're just bad news." But with his championship now gone, now he's stuck to believe that I only have to go in and do something because this new bloodline is becoming a bigger problem, and he can't yeet properly if Jacob Fatu is around the corner every time, or Tamatonga. What's his name? Jeez. I don't know, man. He just out there just yeah the entire time, and he just can't yeet that way, man. He just can't get down with that personally. But so they have Jay in the mix now. Now we looking for a third member, and we can't all forget the honorary Oos, Sami Zayn, which he just dropped the Intercontinental title as well. So I'm not sure if he held the title just for what was that pay-per-view? What was the pay-per-view? Crown Jewel, just so he can hang out with the Habibis and just to have that championship presence for Saudi Arabia, since TKO and all that. He finally got involved back into it, and we wasn't sure on what side Sammy was going to fall on after his whole experience with the original bloodline. So initially, he was looking like he was going to join the new bloodline, but he ends up coming back home after betrayal of Solo Sikoa and kicks the Honolulu out of him. just to join up with Roman and them again, because we all know that that family bond was missing the entire time. Doesn't matter if you have Roman, Jimmy, and Jay. There, we all have that one family member that ain't family, but they family Uso. And I'm glad he finally came back to his family Uso because now he is Sammy Uso yet again. So, with all that, we have the Intercontinental Championship scene kind of being bland for me, just because who's Braun Breaker going to go up against? Since Sammy and Jey Uso are now out the scene, now we have two open spots for them to go up against. So they end up having a match between Lua Kaiser and Braun Breaker. And that ends up getting interrupted by Sheamus, which I'm still trying to figure out what Sheamus has to do with any of this. I mean, I know he's been gone for a while and he's come back and they're trying to plug him in, but he just don't look like the same Sheamus of past. I mean, honestly, I'm not sure if he is just getting old, because with most wrestlers, they come into the league fairly older than what I think they personally should. They should be more younger talent, but they also need that development work. So shouts out to NXT for having that place for them to develop themselves. But honestly, so with that going into Survivor Series, they do have them going against a triple threat match between Braun Breaker, Sheamus, and Ludwig Kaiser. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure what Sheamus has to really do with it, but honestly, I think he's just a placeholder between Braun Breaker and Ludwig Kaiser. Just because between Ludwig Kaiser and Braun Breaker, Kaiser being a more technical wrestler, and with Braun Breaker being the ruthless aggression in flesh, I think it's going to be a squash match. So with Sheamus being involved, that really kind of gives him more of a bag to beat on, instead of just beating on Kaiser the entire time and sparing him, hitting with the 1, 2, 3, 5 minute match, whatever. But with Sheamus being involved, that gives a little bit more weight to be thrown around a match. Um, and just, I'm gonna be honest with you, Kaiser ain't got nothing for Braun Breaker at all. Braun Breaker, that's a balanced breakfast right there. Kaiser, he just ain't got nothing for him. I'm gonna be honest with you. So with that match, I kind of like to give my money on Braun Breaker, just because Sheamus is not going to do anything that's going to progress that match, nor Kaiser is going to find his way to get in between beating Braun Breaker or Sheamus, for that matter, just because most of his matches kind of end in either interference, cheap shots, whatever kind of heel move he wants to play against and try to win the match. I don't think it's going to fly between those two, but I would like to see the WWE bring back the European Championship. I don't think the Intercontinental Championship is right for him, especially after Gunther has held it for such a long time. I believe that title belongs with someone else. But if the WWE can bring back the European Championship, I think he can take that to the next level and bring back the prestige for it, just how it was back in the WWF. And I'm not saying that because he's just quote unquote European. He'll just bring that same prestige that Gunther brought to the Intercontinental Championship, just because Kaiser has great mic work. Kaiser has a good presence, aura. He just has that look. So with that, I think that would actually bring that back into the spotlight for other wrestlers to compete for, and especially they go overseas a lot of times. So I think that can be another title, and it just opens up more storylines to be had with that championship. So I want to talk about Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed has been on a tear for a hot minute now. I really like that, how creative is really giving him that Mark Henry Hall of Pain type of storyline to go with. Just because like he's always been billed to be just big Bronson Reed, instead of just having him be the nimble big man that he is. So one day he just snaps. He just like, man, look, I'm tired of being booked this way. I'm tired of everybody treating me this way. I'm gonna go fuck shit up. So he goes finds shit to go fuck up. And he's like, hey, Seth Rollins, oh, you doing a promo? That's all good and all, but hey, headbutt. Boom, you're on the ground. Okay, I'm gonna hit you with a few tsunamis. He didn't hit him with just one tsunami or two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, 7, 11 of those things. He hit him with so many tsunamis. I'm sure Seth Rollins needed some floaties because he was being splashed on the entire time, and he had security out there. Security came out there and did absolutely nothing. They had their hands up like, Brian, come on, bro, don't do it. Don't do. Oh, wow, slam. Okay, cool. Come on, man, get up, get out the ring. Nah, man, I ain't finished. Slam. Seth Rollins, man, rest in peace to his ribs, because he I ain't gonna lie to you, Bronson Reed. I don't know how heavy he is. Let's look that up. How heavy is Bronson Reed? 330 pounds. I don't know about you, but him jumping off the top bunk with 330 pounds, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. That's a lot of weight coming down all at once, man. And honestly, Seth Rollins ain't the only one that felt the 330 pounds of Bronson Reed jumping off that top rope. Who else has fallen victim to the tsunami boy? We have R-Truth. And we also had that little beef that him and Braun Strowman was going at it. And rest in peace to that town car because it didn't deserve that. I hope they had insurance for it because Bronson Reed jumped off a piece of concrete slab on the Braun Strowman, and that car, it rest in peace to that Lincoln Town car. We're gonna have a moment of silence for that. But with all that happening, when did he become a oos? Like, I was very confused by that. Like, he was always billed as an Australian. When he gets on the mic, he's very Rhea Ripley with it. But I came to find out he is from Samoa for some reason. Like, he just had all the cousins, and the Samoans run deep in the WWE and wrestling business in general, but they just run deep. Everybody can be a oos. I look like a oos, to be honest with you. But with him being a Uso and joining the bloodline, Seth Rollins comes back and he has a vengeance. And Seth Rollins doesn't care. Even though that Bronson Reed probably has maybe 150 some pounds on him. Actually, Seth Rollins like 225. So, around like 105 pounds, which once again, that's a lot of weight jumping off that top rope. He's like, man, look, I got problems and I want to solve them with you. Every time he see Bronson Reed is on site. They get to a little battle, blah, blah, blah. Seth Rollins stomps his head into a car. Then Bronson Reed hit him with that water, hit him with a tsunami, puts him down. Even though they try to like, hey, man, like GM came in like, hey, Seth, you ain't got to do this. Calm down. It's not that serious. He's like, nah, fuck that. Nah, he did me dirty. Y'all watched him let him do me dirty. I need my licks back. I need it. And he got what he was looking for. He got hit with that tsunami one more time, and I know his ribs is still hurting. But that also sets up Braun Strowman to be a powerful contender into going in the next few weeks of Raw. But in the midst of that, we have the Bloodline ordeal, and we had genuine questions on who was going to be the fifth member between both parties leading into War Games. Even though you had even strength with the new Bloodline of Solo Sikoa, Big Dog, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Tama Loa, you have four. They needed a fifth. And on the original Bloodline side of things, you have Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Sammy Uso, and Roman Uso. You have all the Usos, but we're missing a few people. We're missing a wise man, even though he's not in the match. We have an actual body of a wrestler missing. And with everybody hating on Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, just because they was causing complete destruction between both brands for the last, I don't know, since COVID, they've been really beating on everybody. Like, understandably, nobody wants to work with them at all. I get it, but they don't have a choice. They need to find someone to work with to beat Solo Sikoa and his new bloodline because that's just a problem that needs to be stopped. Like, they're causing havoc just like the old bloodline was doing it, but they're doing a little bit worse. They're just literally just jumping people, shoot first, ask questions later. So Jimmy, Jay, Roman, they're all walking around asking people. They had a few people on their short list. They had Seth Rollins, which Roman has history with, both good and bad. Cody Rhodes, they have history with each other, both good and bad. Kevin Owens, they have history, and that's just all bad. They have been beating his ass for a solid 4 to 5 years now. Like, it does not matter. All because Kevin Owens thought he was funny talking to Jay like, oh, so you get his coffee for you? And Crash Out Jay, he was in a bad time in his life. He was going through a lot of mental things. I'm not saying it's excusing what they did to Kevin Owens, but literally just beating his ass every chance they got. It didn't matter where they saw Kevin Owens at. They saw him at catering, beat down. They saw him in the locker room, beat down. He coming back from a Cinnabon, beat down. They didn't care. Actually, I seen him get ran over with a golf cart once. And I'm like, man, that's just hating. Like, I know Kevin Owens is a fight on his fight, but he didn't deserve all that. It's just all because of one little small joke. I mean, I think I'm funny sometimes, but I ain't never had someone jump me at every single chance they got. Just for no reason. They could have been happy, smiling. I'm like, oh, there he go right there. Beat down. Put him in the Uso penitentiary every single time. So that kind of left them with no options because everybody told them no. They got a whole bunch of hell no's. And they were just like, we don't even want to deal with Roman Reigns. Honestly, we was glad that he was gone, to be honest with you. But while they was trying to find their fifth Uso, they were outnumbered. Now the new bloodline announced their new fifth member, comes out to be the new Us, Bronson Reed. And it really just he honestly, I think they should have went with Seth Rollins initially because he has more beef towards the bloodline than Bronson Reed. But then again, that would have added another dynamic if Roman ended up convincing Seth Rollins to join them. Then you have Bronson Reed against Seth Rollins against the old bloodline, new bloodline. It'd have been a big deal, but whatever, it never happened. But Big Bronson Reed, he's the best addition that the new bloodline can truly add. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, just because him and Jacob Fatu, those are some big dudes, man. I'm talking about the Tsunami Boys will be in the building. They jumping and they slamming on whatever. Just who's gonna stop them? They will be tag team champions, not the Lois, not the Thomas. Nah, them, the Tsunami Boys, just coming in wrecking shop. But I'm still trying to figure out when did he become an Ooze? He was literally built in Australian this entire time. But regardless, it's a great pickup. One of the best free agent pickups they could have made that entire time. So whatever. Then on SmackDown, we get a huge pop for the wise man, Paul Heyman, comes back into the fold. He comes back to the fold, and also he has a little friend with him. Who could it be? Because there's a lot of Paul Heyman guys out there that need to be involved with this. It could have been Brock Lesnar. It could have been, well, no, there's only so many Paul Heyman guys in the last like 10, 15 years. So it wasn't Brock Lesnar because he got his own problems. But they brought in CM Punk. Now, honestly, I was kind of confused by it. He has no quarrel with anybody really here, honestly. But they needed a body. Paul Heyman has his guy. They're happy to have the Wise Man back, and the Wise Man made the best call. Got one of the hottest free agent pickups since the Drew McIntyre beef, CM Punk. So I'm excited to see how that plays out in Survivor Series. But we also have the women's War Games match to worry about. So with this one, I didn't see too much beef going into that War Games match just because they had a whole bunch of people involved. They had Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, but something happened to Jade Cargill. No one knows what happened, but she found herself on the wrong end of a Lincoln Town car. So hopefully she didn't get hit with that tsunami. That's my theory, but whatever happened. We have Bianca Belair, a missing person, Io Sky, Naomi, and Rhea Ripley. They find themselves ending up with Bayley. And even though there's some accusations going on who did what to Jade, and no one knows who did what, but with Bayley popping up and finding herself in this match, everybody's raising a few eyebrows. But on the opposite side of things, you have Team Mean Girls. So you have Tiffy Stratton, we have Nia Jax, we have Raquel Rodriguez, and Liv Morgan. And actually, let me double check to see. I feel like I forgot somebody. Who else is on this team? No, I think I got them all. Candice LeRae. Yeah, so really, I didn't really have too much for Candice LeRae because I just feel like they just added her on just to have that fifth body. Just like for like Naomi on the other side. Like, once again, they're both great performers in their own right. They just had no quarrels in this beef whatsoever outside of these are my homies. And if they into it, we into it too. So with that, honestly, there really was not too much of a build-up for that match outside of the beef between Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. Like, outside of that, they just literally just build it up with, I would call them generic promos, but really all the beef was really just towards Liv and Rhea. But we also have a few other additions with Bayley and, I'm not sure, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, they got a tag team name, but they were just there and they were just like, hey, you guys remember Io, right? Weren't you guys beefing? And I'm like, okay, that's cool. But outside of that, like, there's really nothing going on when it comes to building that match to be what it is supposed to be. So either way it goes, just the names on paper, it makes me really excited for that match and see what comes out from that. Hopefully there's a little bit more Rhea beating up on Liv just for the home Dom situation. I don't even think she's really mad about the whole Judgment Day thing because she already showed herself to be outgrown from that ordeal. But I am really excited to see what comes out of that. I'm really excited to see what happens between Tiffany Stratton and that Money in the Bank. Personally, I would like to see her cash in on Nia at War Games just because she has done it a few times. Nia has this bully role where she's always picking on people, always talking down to Tiffy, always doing this and always doing that. I know Tiffy tired of her shit. I'm gonna be honest. I think she should cash in at Survivor Series. There's a lot of things going on. And guess what? You inside of a steel cage. You got four people that don't like each other. They'll be busy. Naya, she'll take a bump. And you know what? Maybe hit her with the 1, 2, 3 real quick. Walk out of Survivor Games a champion and also walk out of there scot free. She don't even have to participate in the match. She can just literally hit her with that hope roll up pin 1, 2, 3. Okay, I got my belt. I'm a dip. And you guys can have fun with each other. So that's one of my predictions that might happen during War Games. Which really, I really hope that works. I really hope she cashes in on it because she's done it a few times, and I know Tiffy time is on her. It's ticking. It's very much ticking. Another thing I want to get into that has nothing to do with Survivor Series. What's going on with the Street Profits? I've I've been seeing them a lot, but I just don't see any progression from them ever since Bobby Lashley went over to AEW. I really thought they was going to join Bobby Lashley and kind of create themselves a new Hurt business, but it just never happened. And Bobby Lashley ended up leaving, and now I feel like the Street Profits are in purgatory in the tag team division. So I'm not sure if Montez Ford is going to go out into a solo competitor. What's going to happen to Angelo Dawkins? Is he going to go into the solo scene as well? They're going to fall out. I don't know what might be happening. Are they going to start getting mad with each other like the New Day is going on? I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but they should definitely put the titles on them boys because I don't like the Judgment Day having the tag team titles doesn't really benefit them outside of them just looking more powerful as a unit. But I think the Street Profits will definitely use more of that boost, and I'd like to see more of them in the future, just more in a more prominent way because they have great chemistry. They have great promos. They have great mic skills. They're great performers in the ring. Like they deserve everything and more. So hopefully they get their just due, or if they do decide to break them up, hopefully the creative can put them in the right direction. But right now, that is all I have until the event happens tonight. So I will see you guys for part 2 for my reaction to WWE Survivor Series War Games. So I will catch you guys later. Peace.